भारत गौरवाय नमः।
ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम श्री तपोवनपरं गुरवे नमः। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम भारत गौरवाय नमः। Pranams to all the Acharyas and everyone present here. Hari Om. Bolo Bharat Mata Ki. So, I thank Chinmaya International Foundation, Chinmaya International Foundation Shodh Samsthan, Chinmaya Vishwa Vidyapeeth for this wonderful opportunity, for this wonderful initiative. And it was a great joy for me to understand Puja Gurudev's vision, national vision. And in now 25-30 minutes, I have to present it. It is very, very vast, and I am sure Gurudev himself will not be able to present his vision in 30 minutes. So if I am able to do injustice to it, please pardon me. And also pardon me for my speed, because there's a lot to cover and details will be available in the paper. Once Gurudev was asked by somebody that, Swamiji, what should I do for my country? And Gurudev said, do you ask this question that what should I do about my spouse? What should I do for my kids? When you have love, it spontaneously pours out. This feeling for the nation is what is most important, and the core of Gurudev's vision is to transform the population into people and to transform the country into the nation. Gurudev's patriotism is like the golden thread that runs through all different stages of his life. As a student, as a freedom fighter, as a seeker, as a journalist, as Swami Chinmayananda and a Hindu missionary, you see his patriotism runs through the whole thing of his life, like how in the Gita Bhagavan says, Sutre Manigana Iva. So we start with his journalistic days, in his days as freedom fighter actually. As Balakrishna Menon, when he was a student leader, he was not just taking part in the freedom movement as anybody else. He was a revolutionary student leader, and he was a part of the HSRA, Hindustan Socialist Republic Association, which was founded by Bhagat Singh. And so he used to distribute pamphlets, he used to inspire people to fight for the freedom through the way of the revolution. And in fact, he even went on to shoot 2 British officers, and which is why he was so much under, the radar of the British, and they wanted to capture him. Here is a small video of Swami Sundaranandji, who was his Guru Bhai, and he mentions this aspect very clearly.
स्वामी चिन्मयानंद नहीं था उस समय, बालकृष्णन ऐसे नाम थे। उस समय सोशलिस्ट पार्टी के लीडर थे, जो अंग्रेजों को मार दिए रिवाल्वर से। फिर उनको खोज करते रहे ब्रिटिश पुलिस पकड़ने के लिए, इंटेलिजेंट पुलिस सब लोग उनके पीछे पड़े थे, ये छिपता रहा।
So Gurudev was in the hideout, and details he was working in the British intelligence itself as an operator. And so that was his background, and when he was finally caught, he was put in the jail, he was left to die actually, thrown out. A Christian lady saved him, and then he took up intensively his career as a journalist. He worked earlier in Free Press Journal, journal in Mumbai, and then he joined the National Herald. An entire paper I have written separately only on the writings of Puja Gurudev as a journalist, and what level of fearlessness as a journalist he had is absolutely stunning. So you see here some of the aspects I'm going to cover quickly. First aspect was his vision for a new India. Gurudev writes very clearly in that the spiritual India, it has to be socially just and spiritually awake. And his vision of patriotism, he says very clearly, in our Sanatana Dharma, patriotism is not limited only to the country, but it is in context of the entire vision of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. So being patriotic does not contradict being a global citizen. Today the narrative of the left is, why do I need patriotism? I am a global citizen. Nationalism and patriotism are limiting boundaries. This Gurudev said earlier that time. Second, he spoke about the love for the common man. And he wrote articles not under the pseudonym of Mochi. He wrote articles under the pseudonym called Mr. Tramp. And the word tramp means a wandering person who does not have a home, representing the common man. So he wrote on Mochi. He used to call him the symbol of craftsmanship. He used to write on the peddler. He used to write on the chowkidar. And many beautiful things he used to say. You know, the postman, he would say, is a messenger of sympathy and love, servant of the parted friends. The chowkidar is a contemplative sage, sat through the night in meditation. And he used to call them the Nishkama Karma Yogis of the atomic age. And he brought out the plight of all these people so that their status can be lifted. Third was his sharp criticism of the economic structures of that time. And he would sound an alarm against the corruption, which he wrote an article called The Tipping Racket, which he said the corruption in the bureaucracy has come in because of the British and how the British have introduced that corruption. So he wrote on that, and he also very clearly spoke about the communist agitations. And very clearly he used to say this, that blindly following Moscow without a national purpose, simply going on strikes and opposing national projects is not going to lead us anywhere. Then he also spoke about the British rule itself. Many articles he has written against the British rule, their dictatorial approach, the Sahibs and the Babus. And when the freedom was attained and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was integrating the whole nation, he gave a clear warning even to the princes of the various princely states. And he said, join this new urge that is there in Bharat to unite and join the mass movement, otherwise be trampled to dust. So bold, so fearless, and he was nationalistic right from his young days, his journalistic days. For him, nation was above all the rest of the, journalism sometimes goes into sensationalism and uniqueness, and today TRP and all that. For him, nation was above and journalism was only a means. And there was an article he also wrote on ahimsa, saying that violence where it is required to defend has to be taken up. Non-violence should never become cowardice. So he said very clearly that in the battlefield when violence is rampant, it is a dharma of everyone to meet that violence with determined, restrained violence. Not only in self-defense, but also to convince the aggressive, vicious few that it rarely pays to be violent. Exact opposite of what Mahatma Gandhi spoke. So this was his vision as a journalist. These are some of his archive images of his articles. And very interesting also is that even before he became a seeker and went to meet Swami Shivanandaji, etc., he wrote an article on Dr. Radhakrishnanji's commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, where on one hand he very clearly gives him credit, saying he is the accredited spiritual ambassador of the country, but he also says very boldly that he has failed to deliver a message of our own times to a world that is recklessly dashing through mutual suspicion, fear and hatred towards another self-annihilating war. So he was very, very bold on spirituality, on culture, on patriotism. Then of course we know he went to expose the bluff of the sadhus, met Swami Shivanandaji, transformed, took up sannyas and went to study under Swami Taponji Maharaj. And there he felt the urge to come down. And that is called as Operation Fakiristan. In Gangotri, the place was called Fakiristan, where the sadhus would meet. And Gurudev felt that they were only talking dry logic and he needs to come down and share this. And so with the blessings of Tapon Maharaj, Mother Ganga, and Swami Shivanandaji, he comes down first to take up an all India tour. This is very important, that if you see, Swami Vivekanandaji toured the whole country before he went to World Parliament of Religions. He understood what is the ground reality. That's why he said, you will be closer to heavens by playing football than by studying the Gita. Vivekanandaji said, because that was the situation at that time. Shivanandaji had taken up the country's whole tour. Same way, Puja Gurudev took up the tour of the whole country, and that is where, like Puja Guruji says, Samskriter vikshya hanim cha bharatasya cha dusthitim dravitam hridayam yasya vande hamtam mahamunim. When he felt moved that my country's culture is declining, what is the situation of my country, what was the glory of it and where it has come to, when he felt moved, and please remember, all this is in the backdrop of already what he has done as a freedom fighter, as a journalist. There he decides that yes, I have to go down, and the Gangotri plan was conceived, and he comes down with one bag, divine mission is written on that, and he comes down to share the knowledge. So the principal diagnosis of Gurudev as far as patriotism is concerned is, what is a population? A population is only a mere head count. He would say these are 60 crore individuals, and if each individual is working only for themselves, without a common goal, without a common national vision, then each of them is like a cancerous cell which refuses to align with the whole body and does on its own. So that's a powerful analogy that he gave, and he wanted to transform the population into people. Who are people? They are an organic whole. They come together bound by a common vision. And Gurudev always said that very clearly, that we all must have a common vision. And you know, he used to make sometimes humorous remarks saying that till the freedom was there, till the freedom was to be attained, that was a common goal. Everybody came together and freedom, 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 and we worked hard. And once that freedom was attained, and Gurudev would joke saying that the British gave it to Nehru on a platter, and then we all sat back and look at the country where it has fallen. So a common vision, in one talk where he spoke on Serve India, he said a common vision, let it be clean India. So many years later, Modi ji himself took that up as Swachh Bharat. He said, let cleanliness unite all of us, that let us have a clean India, physically cleanliness, as well as to clean the entire system of corruption. So a common vision is very important. Today that common vision will be what? 2047. How we can work together for that vision of making India a developed country rooted and anchored in Sanatan Dharma. So Gurudev said, once you have that kind of a common vision, population has transformed into people, that nation becomes unconquerable. See, that is how our great masters and great people have with so much of resilience sustained the Sanatan Dharma in spite of attacks and invasion of so many years. And so these are very powerful words of Gurudev to bring about a harmony of thought, harmony of goal, harmony of inspiration, is to build a nation. In a book called Why Serve, he says this so clearly. Just by saying national integration, national program, something doesn't become national. You have to bring an alignment of thought, alignment of harmony of goal, harmony of inspiration. And it is only with such a devoted goal in life that we can surrender our ego, our selfish desire, rise above them and come to live like angels upon earth. To forge and to evolve out of our population a healthy, vibrant, creative people is the work of the mission. Chinmaya Mission members are essentially nationalists. Please remember this. Don't say that we have come for moksha. Gurudev used to always say, even to brahmacharis, if you want moksha, go and sit in the caves in the Himalayas. Here we are to go into the field to serve the country. So he said Chinmaya Mission members are essentially nationalists. A mission member is conscious of the glory of his country, a real devoted servant of the country. Work for the nation, regain the past glory of our nation. This much also if we are able to do, it would be wonderful that each of us become conscious of the glory of my country, share it with more and more people and work towards that. What was my Bharat? I have to bring my Bharat back to that state. Next aspect is the spiritual architecture of his national revival. As Dr. Sampadananji also said, individual transformation is what Gurudev stressed on, and he would always compare the standard of living and standard of life. He would give an example of a boat. The standard of living is like the mast, which is visible, but the standard of living is like the keel, which is not visible. And both these have to be very clearly balanced. Higher the standard of living, deeper must be the standard of life. And so, Bhagavad Gita was his core, the engine of character transformation, and very clear, Gurudev spoke even in the UN, where he said, in individual transformation lies the world transformation. And so change the human being, everything else follows. Then he spoke about Bharatiya. Who is a true Bharatiya? We will come to that beautiful video of Gurudev, a short one, where he speaks about what exactly is Bharat.
This is not a country of wolves and tins and stones. Mr. Stone, Mr. Tin, Mr. Wolf, Mr. Tiger. This is a land of meaning. Bha means light. Prabhatam, Bhaswara, Bhaskara. Bha means light. Reti meaning reveling in. So Bharata means one who revels in life. People who live honestly to their own conviction, ready to sacrifice everything in order to live the right knowledge. Those who live in light and not in utter ignorance. They are called the Bharatiyas. Therefore, spiritual Bharat has no frontiers. There are Bharatiyas in America, in England, in Europe, in Australia, in North Pole and South Pole. By the accident of birth, you cannot become a Bharatiya. That is why in our constitution said Bharat, bracket, otherwise called India. Indian you can become anywhere. But a Bharat you cannot become. A Bharat is one who revels in wisdom, fearlessly live his own conviction, refusing to compromise. And in Bharat today, there are no Bharatiyas reveling in. So now you are all Bharatiya in the sense, not a political Bharatiya. Political Bharat is a shrinking thing called a country. But the spiritual Bharat has no frontiers, it is round the world. Wherever there be anyone, in whatever caste or creed or color they may be, he who is living the spiritual value, he is a Bharat.
So who are you, Indian or Bharatiya? Such a weak answer. Who are you? Be a Bharatiya and a spiritual Bharatiya. This is spoke and so beautifully it describes in the book called Art of Man Making. So who is a true Bharatiya he gave about, and then comes a beautiful aspect which is the Shankara technology. Gurudev gave talks on Bhajagovindam, he gave talks on the Bhagavad Gita, on All India Radio also, and these are some images of Gurudev on this All India Radio. Art of Man Making is those talks. And so he says so beautifully, what is that Shankara technology? For him, Shankaracharya was his greatest inspiration. So he said, basically it is a false notion that a national life can be created merely by industrial progress. Wealth so produced may with an intelligent economic vision get redistributed equitably, and yet man cannot be happy, nor the community united, nor the nation made strong, unless the people living in the country have cultivated in themselves a healthy philosophy of right living. There is no way to revive a country in its human values other than this, and this we may call the Shankara technology. That is what Gurudev carried out throughout his life, the Shankara technology. So this was as far as the individual is concerned, and much has been said in spiritual sessions also. Second aspect is for collective coming together as a nation of Hindus. VHP was formed by Puja Gurudev along with so many great stalwarts. And do you know, Swami Vijnananandji was telling us so interestingly, the thought of VHP came to Puja Gurudev when he was recuperating in a hospital from his first heart attack. He is recovering from heart attack and he is thinking that we need to bring Hindus together, and then he contacts Golwalkar Guruji, and together then they started, and in 1964 this VHP was founded right in Sandipani Sadhanalaya itself. And these are three founding objectives of Vishwa Hindu Parishad: consolidate and strengthen the Hindu society, protect, develop and spread Hindu values, ethical and spiritual, and establish and reinforce contacts with Hindus living abroad, to establish a permanent World Hindu Congress which will aid and enable the Hindu brotherhood to preserve their glorious identity and propagate its message everywhere. And Gurudev even gave in that inauguration address, he also said that the Mahatmas must come out of their caves for 20 years, wake up the people, organize them, and then we shall go back again to our seats of meditation. This was his call. And so, today many things that have happened is because of Gurudev's vision of VHP, and he continuously guided them. Ashok Singalji very clearly says that the concept of Hindu vote bank was brought out by Puja Gurudev first, that you consolidate the Hindus and inspire them about their country and culture and make them vote. Once the Hindu vote is consolidated, one will be able to come into power and revive the Sanatan Dharma. What was seeming impossible in Bengal has happened or not. We have come back. In 10 years' time that has happened. And which is the next bastion? Kerala. That has to come back. Tamil Nadu, others it will happen. But the point is what? Hindu vote bank. Gurudev said 82% of a body, if it is paralyzed, one is finished. And Hindus as a majority, we have numbers, but we have not the strength. So he wanted to consolidate the Hindus, and he said he brought about this aspect. Then he also spoke about temple, the revival of the temples. He spoke about uniform civil code. He spoke about reforming the education policies. Many of these things that Gurudev has spoken, this is what he said: if 82% of me is paralyzed, I am a helpless, hapless guy. If in a country 82% of population have no voice at all, no strength at all, no unity at all, no power at all, that nation is a poor country. However much the minorities may progress, it is a Hindu progress that is a national progress. Hindu revival is a national revival. These are such clear, powerful messages of Puja Gurudev. And he spoke about not voting for a party which does not cater to the Hindu interests. He said, you identify which are the parties, what are your demands as Hindus, and put it to front of them. And if those parties do not focus on that in their manifesto, then do not vote for them. He also spoke about, as I said, uniform civil code, to bring all the different groups of people under the same civil code. And till today we are still struggling. Nationally, uniform civil code is not applied. It has been left to the states. A few states have applied that. Still we are struggling against the temples. The temples have not yet come back to us. And these are things that Gurudev spoke about in those times. For him, the definition of Hindu family was an inclusive Hindu family where all the religions born in Bharat, so Jainism, Sikhism, Buddhism, all of us come together under the common aspect of the Hindu fraternity. And this was what Gurudev spoke, and till today that is what is being done. And he also spoke about Ghar Vapsi, reconversion. When the Pope was to come into Bharat and he had declared that in whichever city he goes, he will convert at least 108 Hindus to Christianity, look at what Gurudev said. He said that he would bring back 1008 back into the Hindu fold in each of those cities. He said, you are an Atithi, we will welcome you. You are Atithi, and Atithi Devo Bhava is our culture. We welcome you to come, but you cannot come to convert. If you do that, we will reconvert many more. This was his visionary leadership, fearlessness. And this is the standard view of the minorities, divided by religion in a country where it is supposed to be a secular country, where government is supposed to be above religion. The whole nation is divided on the base of religion. We have lost 2 parts of our country because of religion, and yet the minorities are being divided and discriminated. The majority is under their, so much of preferential treatment. So Gurudev only said that there are only 2 communities in the world, and they are those who are Hindus and those who were Hindus. And who are the minorities? Those who are poor, those who don't have the facilities, irrespective of the religion. That is what he said, the poor, the sick, the unemployed, the disabled. So this was his vision for VHP, and supporting the Ekatma Yatras, participating in the Hindu National Conference, he guided them. He also gave a plan for the very growth of the organization. He said we should have Karmavadis at the village level, Vicharavadis at the district level, Nishchayavadis, the state council, and Dharmavadis guided by the Mahatmas. This was the structure that Gurudev gave to the organization for the VHP to consolidate the Hindus, bring them together and bring a national revival. During emergencies, Gurudev did so much to ensure that we are there to serve the country. It was not simply giving talks and simply saying that we believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. When the China war was happening, Gurudev gave the clarion call. He said, Tasmad uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchayaha. And he said that we are losing. China had already come in. He said we are losing parts of our Himalayas. We need to fight and get back that part. Pakistan war, he stopped all his yajnas and he ensured that he told people to join the efforts to serve the armed forces, join the Red Cross, join the Home Guards, and he himself personally went to this Khemkaran front line. He wrote to the Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, offered the full Chinmaya Mission network for the Seva. When there was a food crisis in the country, he personally encouraged everybody to skip one meal. And he wrote that plan to the food minister, Mr. Subramaniam, that this is the plan and by which 8% we will be in surplus. If one meal for a certain duration, if everybody skips. When there was a famine, he organized camps for cattle relief. And he took part in the cow protection sammelans and protests that the sadhus and sannyasis did. And even today, it is so sad that Bharat exports so much of beef. It is the second largest exporter of beef. So, many things like that, we need to take care. Gurudev started the Sandipani Sadhanalaya during crisis. During between two wars, he started the Sandipani Sadhanalaya. And how, while the nation mobilized its armies, Gurudev mobilized a different kind of soldier. Trained not in arms, but in the Upanishads. Equipped not with the weapons, but the wisdom. Sent not to the border, but to the hearts of the people. This was Sandipani Sadhanalaya's vision, to create such missionaries for Sanatan Dharma. For the youth, he gave a beautiful vision where he said that youth have become cultural orphans. They are not rooted in the Sanatan Dharma. They don't have the techniques to integrate their body, mind and intellect. And hence the behavioral output also is where we find them disintegrated, thinking only about themselves. So he said we must make them anchored in tradition. Civilizational heir versus the cultural orphan. He would often say that an orphan is one who does not know who his parents are, who his ancestors are. At any given point in time, little pressure comes, will compromise. But somebody who knows which legacy he belongs to, what is my glory of my ancestors, my parents, my roots, that person will not compromise. So he wanted Yuva Kendra members to channelize their energies in study and then service. So he gave them two beautiful visions. He said, one, wipe clean the mistakes of the past. Example he gave was reservations. Examples are of education, of Ram Janmabhoomi. These are errors of the past. He said, wipe clean the mistakes of the past. And second, look at the future and create a grand future. Don't get limited by possibilities. Think of the grand future and work hard towards it. And for this, he said your mental quietude is important. Your original thinking is necessary. You must be rooted in the culture. And that's why he formed the Chinmaya Yoga Kendra with that great vision, where he said harnessing youth potential through dynamic spirituality. And the funnel he gave was this: study. And he would always say that do not take up any social service project without a study of minimum 3 to 4 books, because otherwise your social service will land up in ego clashes. If you don't have the spiritual roots, then you will only use it to boost your ego. Second, you start living those values. And he brought out so many techniques of meditation, of japa. He would tell people and he himself would carry a japamala. So youth must study, youth must do the sadhanas, and then he would say, go out and preach. Share this knowledge with the people in your community, in your neighborhood, and give this knowledge to the maximum people. All this is based on the Upanishad. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. And then he also said about the country that work together, build strength together in your street, in your building, and then inspire your peer groups, build a politically faithful network, and then rewrite the destiny of the whole country. He would tell them about his visit to Japan, and he was very clear that how people in Japan are so patriotic because they know the glory of their country, how they have bounced back even after the bomb was thrown on them. And so we need to teach that to our youngsters to be proud of their country. And he would always tell the youth that you are the people in the city to whom the people in the villages are looking up to. And so you must keep your vision very clear. Don't waste your time in only, and he used to say that time, don't waste your time only in Coca-Cola and brands and drinks. What you must do is have a vision and commit yourself to that vision. Because if few people in the cities are able to do that, young people, people in the villages also will see and follow. He also gave a very, very important aspect to those who are going abroad. He said, young people who are going abroad and they are studying there, they are neither knowing the roots of their own country, plus they are getting influenced, imitating only the West, and when they return, they are neither there nor here. And so he gave a suggestion. What was that suggestion? He said, you have a pre-departure cultural intervention of 3 to 6 months where you teach them Vedanta, teach them Indian culture, and then you send them abroad. Then they will be your cultural ambassadors. They will become truly global citizens. And he also said that university graduation certificate should be withheld until this course is completed by them. See, he was so clear and so practical. I think CVV can definitely take this up. And so he would encourage a proactive mindset versus a passive mindset, where the youngsters are only thinking of style, comfort, blaming ancestors, seeking only job for degrees for jobs. He would say, be clear about the vision of the country, learn to sacrifice, be alert and vigilant. And so I'm sharing 2 small clips of Gurudev.
You and supply my youth in my country a great vision and supply them enough material that their own faith in themselves is not shaken, whatever be the circumstances that come around. Such heroes we have to create, and that is what we are doing. We want people with vision, with courage, with heroism, with an ability to consistently function, not by the inspiration of others, but inspiration drawn from your own vision. Such a generation we can create. That would be the generation which will write the Indian history aright once again into its own glory. Thank you.
Gurudev always spoke also about Harihar Vidyalayas, where he said that we create these schools in the villages which are with vocational training along with their regular curriculum, so that their migration to the cities has to stop. And so we have Harihar Vidyalaya in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, in Tamaraypakkam. Gurudev actually wanted this Harihar Vidyalayas, 100 schools in 5 years. That was the plan that he came up with. And he said we will train them in biogas, in masonry, in leather, sculpture, tailoring, so many things, so that the village empowerment happens then and there. And they themselves become job creators rather than seeking for jobs. And Gurudev also gave the whole national pledge. Chinmaya Mission pledge as a means of nation building is a very, very powerful tool. My 3rd paper is on that how Chinmaya Mission pledge itself is a powerful tool for nation building, where we stand as one family, is antidote to caste and the communal division, serve as an army is for inner discipline, producing more than what we consume is an economic principle, service of the Lord of Lords is the right attitude that we must have, service of the country, and what is that spiritualized patriotism. So, I want to conclude with this beautiful letter that Gurudev wrote when he was landing in from Athens in Greece, he was coming back to Bharat. And this is what he writes there. There is no place on the face of the earth as my country. Her corruptions and vulgarities touch but her surface. Deep within, she is pure, sincere, clean, and noble. Her weaknesses are like the sweat upon a healthy young laborer, and after his day's work, when he takes a wash, he is clean and cool again. If our country can have a nobler lead with a clear vision and firmer purpose, I am sure all the dirt in our lives will wash away, allowing the fragrance of our culture to waft from every pore in her. It is here that the mission members can serve. It is all of you who can inaugurate the sacred bath, Abhishekam of the motherland. With your own purity of life, with your knowledge and sadhana-tempered nobility, with your wisdom and faith in your ancient culture, we can accomplish this sacred ablution, this divine anointment of the country. Chinmaya Mission revels in this silent and humble puja of the motherland. In her cultural revival lies the hope of a new era for the tired and weary world of passionate materialism. Thank you.